Hello Internet, my name is Gothic Lord UK, and once again you find me sat in a lobby of a poker client, surprise surprise, but today is going to be something a little bit different. Over on Full Tilt Poker they have this new tab on the client where they now have Jackpot Sit and Gos. I have yet to play any of these, but as far as I can tell, the notion is you buy in for either $1, $2, $5, or $10, and then when you play the tournament that you're randomly dropped into, you have a variable prize that you can win, and sometimes that will be 2 times the buy-in. And so in those instances, you're actually playing for a prize pool less than those entry fees that have been paid to enter that tournament. And so you might have 3 players playing a $2 tournament, which would make a standard prize pool of $6, but sometimes it will be a winner takes all for only $4. And so whilst you're losing out if you get dropped into one of those cheaper varieties of the available tournaments, that does obviously mean that there are dollars going spare, which can be pumped into tournaments of a higher value so that you have an opportunity to win even more money. And so to some extent it's a little bit like the lottery, where you buy a ticket and you see what option of prize that you have available to you, but ultimately it's still a three-handed hyper turbo, where in most cases winner takes all. And so I just thought we would play a couple of these today with some change in my Full Tilt account and just see if anything interesting happens. We can see just over on the right here that the average duration is about 7 minutes, and so we'll probably do 2 or 3 of these once we get going. But right before we do that, we're just going to open up the main next part of the lobby for the $1 Jackpot Sit and Gos, and we get our main lobby here, and we can see if we jump into prizes and structures. If you drop into the $2 prize, then first place $2, first place 4, first place 6, and then you get 10, 20, and then after the 100 you actually get a breakdown of prizes so that everybody does cash, which is no bad thing, I suppose. And you can win either up to a $100 prize pool, $500 prize pool, or if you're incredibly lucky, a $2,000 prize pool. Levels start at, or continue always to be 3 minutes, starting with 500 chips, and we can even click this button here for an observer table, and we can see that in this particular tournament we've got 2 players left out of the 3 that began, and it's a winner take all for $10. And so without further ado, we will start with these $1 games just because they're the cheapest, and I like to play the cheapest variant of a game going if it's going to be a game that I haven't played specifically before. Of course, I've got experience in No Limit Hold'em, but not with the format, and so we will go for our cheapest entry. We'll just do 1 for the moment for $1. Oh, it's gonna do a little roulette to see what prize we can possibly win, and it's $2, which you kind of expect because it's going to be the most common prize available, given that they have to make up money to pump up the higher prize pools to those excessive amounts. And so if you think for every time that there's a $2,000 tournament being played, that's $1,998 that have to have been skimmed off of other tournaments being played in order to find the money to reward those higher value outputs. I hope that was concise. And so we raised on the button with ace jack 3-handed. Unfortunately we flopped absolute air and both other players came along, and so I can't be too confident that ace high is going to be too good here, simply because somebody can either have any pair on board, but we are going to put out a c-bet of just over half pot, and this will be basically the only time that we're c-betting on this very first level with the smallest blinds, and still hopefully some fold equity. Of course, if we get shoved on we'd be folding, but then still have some big blinds left for the meantime just to try and get our ball rolling. But we do pick up that first pot, which is always nice. I must say my heads-up game is specifically better than my three-handed game, just because whilst I know I should be playing effectively the same, I'm sorry, we can make this larger for you. I'm very sorry. I appreciate how much you should be playing from your buttons and things in heads-up, and three-handed there's just I don't know, an elegance to it that I'm not so comfortable with, but if we can get to being heads up, then that will be wonderful. So we're going to bet here, given that he's given up on 2 streets, and we'll pick that one up as well. Pocket sixes in the small blind is going to be an obvious re-raise, I expect, if not a shove if Zarin raises from his button. And he just calls, and so we are going to make a reasonably large raise, just so we can punish the limper and see if we can't take this down immediately rather than going to a flop and seeing overcards come. We are going to call this shove. I expect we're flipping, and 8-jack, whilst is 2 overs, isn't the strongest of hands, but of course he does flop a pair, and so we're not out yet, but we did make the correct decision there, which doesn't hurt too much. Pocket 8s immediately after, we'll shove for 11 big blinds. You imagine he's going to do the same with 2 overs, or this time just a 9, which is nice. We flop top set, and all is well, so we get some of our money back there, not all is lost. Worth noting that Bolivarus over to our left there will shove just about any 2 cards by the looks of things. We're going to call our min raise from the small blind again. And he made this line without c-betting when he missed last time, and so we're going to c-bet for him, seeing as he doesn't want to take a stab at the pot. And we expect him to give it up, because we expect if he had any part of the pot, he would have c-bet. That all works out for us, which is lovely. And 7-4 is just going to be a fold from our small blind. 6-8 from our button, I think we're just going to let go at this early stage. Something that's worth keeping in mind in this game compared to other sit and goes that you probably have played before is this is of course winner take all, and so there is absolutely no prize for creeping into second position with 3 big blinds only to go out immediately once your head's up. And so to that regard we are going to be playing a little bit more aggressively when it counts, because that's going to hopefully put us in a position that we can actually win this thing outright. Again, c-betting with there when our opponent in position gives up. I'm even actually going to make a couple of quick notes here. So Zarin folds out of position, checks out of position on flops when misses. Folds to any bet. And so we've got pocket sixes again. He's got 10 big blinds, he's got 20. I think we're just going to shove. Bolivarus we've seen come along with 2 overcards, which is a math favourite spot for us, and then if we can get into that math favourite spot and double up, we'd have 1,000 chips going into making outright winning a little bit more likely. With deuce 6 here against this player, we are actually just going to fold. Deuce 6 is really at the bottom part of our range. Pocket kings, however, is phenomenal. We are just going to keep up our story of shoving, because we've seen this guy call off light quite a lot, and he's basically drawing dead. He does have diamonds though, which is scary, but they don't come in, which is nice. And so now we've put ourselves in a real position that we can win this thing outright. He's probably going to come along for his last 2 big blinds. Zarin comes along as well. We're probably in a very good spot, but as it stands, we've got 2 overs. We've got hearts, but his 10s do let him double up for a very small pot. Now this is where my lack of math lets me down, because I don't know if this is an automatic call against the all-in player. It's 140 to win 400, which is just less than 3 to 1, like 2.5 to 1. I think we're going to call, and then if we flop a pair, put Zarin all in and see if we can't just take this down immediately. We will still have some chips left behind should we manage to win. Nobody's got a king, he's got a deuce, and that's us all over. And so we doubled our money and we won $1 there. Not sure what the rake is on these, I must be honest, although I suppose the rake is accounted for in the money they skim off the top rather than the money we see coming back to us, because evidently it's just a straight up $2 with no funny change on the end. And so, as we've won an extra $1, we'll do another one of those. See if we can't get ourselves into something worth a bit more than $2, which would be a bit more exciting. But we get $2 again, so just as before, gonna try and keep up our aggression in spots where we think we're favourable. Keep in mind when our opponents are being more aggressive or not. And so we get a walk immediately, which is no bad thing. Going to fold 5-6 under the gun here, just to give ourselves the illusion of being slightly tighter than we may be slightly later on, and just because 5-6 suited isn't going to make too many winning hands. As it stands, we would have flushed, but we aren't result oriented on this channel. Or at least we do our very best not to be. Queen 10, I think, is strong enough to go 3x from our button. Of course, we have position for the remainder of all the hands later, but as we are easily losing to any pair, any ace high, any king high, we are just going to give up against this shove. I think if we raise here, we don't get too many folds, and I don't want to shove, and so we are just going to check and try and just basically lose the smallest pot we can. Unfortunately, we don't have the privilege of being in position to watch our opponents act first, but again, we will just get out of the way here. Another pocket pair, and so we're going to do what this guy did earlier and just shove on the field. Obviously overpairs are calling and 2 overs are probably calling quite frequently, and so we just have to hope the math holds up. King's no good, 6 only wins, and so we do lose this one even though we did get it in as a favourite. And so, how long have we been going? Just less than 15 minutes. We'll do one more of these and probably call that a session. Let's get rid of this, we don't need that. We need this. Be more than $2, be exciting. No, it's going to be $2. And that's what I expect the majority is, as we said before. I would like to know the exact math on what the number of occasions you're going to find yourself in a $2 game are. I think it's actually hidden somewhere in this lobby. I'm going to endeavour to find out whilst we're playing this one. If he shoves, we're going to call with ace 10 because he's already shoved one hand. Oh, now I kind of want to fold. Yeah, we're going to fold. So we would have been obscurely chopping there, but in fact the jack will take that one down. And then we get to play the rest of this heads up, which is a slightly easier prospect in my mind. And he did this with King Jack the last hand. We'll give up one more time and then make sure we're just min-raising with hands that we're prepared to call off with when he shoves. That's an excellent flop for us, but we need to see if we can't get him to put in the money for us. 6-7 came in. We don't expect him to have that all too often. But we can't get any more value there. 7 tray, I'm just going to give up immediately. 8 tray, again, not even going to play that. It's just right at the very bottom part of our range. 5-9, we're not going to min raise just because we've seen him be so aggressive. We're not going to call a re-raise from that. Queen 6 we will come along with. We've got a spade in the hand, but only a baby one. When he's given up there, we are going to see if we can't take the betting lead. And he raises, we're just going to have to give up again. So you can see this guy's being very aggressive, but unfortunately he has more chips than us. See if I can't get him to do exactly that, which I feel very happy about by limping. Just no queen, no 6 please, dealer. Thank you. And now we are exactly even in our chip stacks here, minus the odd blind. But we got him to do exactly what we wanted to do by making him shove by limping on our button, which is something that people will often do, trying to punish limpers. And then we're just going to get into shove fold poker here. I don't think we're deep enough for me to be too tricky pre. He's got a lot of outs to straights, and it comes in, but we've got a flush, so go us. Totally missed the flush outs there. We're calling this shove, of course. And we haven't dominated again. And so we win that one as well. And so let's pull our lobby back over. And so we played 3 and 1-2 for a net profit of $1. And I'm going to see if I can't find over here. What do I want? I want this, and I want this. So there's the frequency out of 100,000 hands. I'm just wondering if I can pull this over without showing you all of the other stuff that's bookmarked on my browsers and stuff. I think we can. So, if you can see this table, Jackpot Sit and Go tournament payouts, and so if you pay 100,000 times, you can expect to be in the $2 game. If you're talking about our $1 buy-in, 72,500 times, or 72.5% of the time, which is a vast majority. And then occasionally you'll be in the $4 game, and then to really get into where it's going to be more interesting is really less than 400 instances in 100,000. And so to that regard, I don't think I will be playing these Jackpot Sit and Gos as a long-term financial investment, but it's certainly been interesting to have a little look at how they work. And if you're the kind of person that wants to see if you have a small bankroll running and would like to try and run it up into something big at the aware risk that you could just get the smaller games, even then you can still win those if you think you're a higher skill level than the people that will be playing those games. And so as such, if that is something that you're interested in doing, by all means feel free to go ahead. But that will be all for the moment. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, I have been the Gothic Lord UK, and bye for now.